Heels off, game on. 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 It's the game day diva theme song. Heels off, game on. It's the game day diva theme song. Make some noise if you ready for the stats. Make some noise if you ready for the chat. It's your game day diva.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Heels Off, Game On. And yes, as I always say, as you can see behind me, the heels are off. There's only one heel back there, but the other one's off somewhere. So heels are off and the game is on. So let's get into it. I like to start out always with college football, and I always go through the top 10. It is ever changing every week, okay? There's been so much movement, either up or down, in or out. And I'll tell you, my team, of course, and we had a bye this week, so nothing to talk about there, but we are out of the top 25. But getting into the top 10, number one, still holding at number one until someone dethrones them, the national champions, Ohio State. Okay, Ohio State is number one. We got number two, Oregon. Now, Oregon moved up because they went into Penn State. They call it Happy Valley, but guys, it was not so Happy Valley on Saturday. They took the dub. They were all in the whiteout and everything. They still took the dub. So that dropped them down in the polls. I'll go over that in a minute. Number three is Miami. Okay, the U. Still holding strong. We'll see what happens. They got a big game this weekend against Florida State. Miami is at 3. Number 4 is Ole Miss. Ole Miss took LSU out. Okay, so LSU was in the top 10. Now they're out of the top 10. I mean, they're still ranked, but they're out of the top 10. So number 4 is Ole Miss. Number 5, you know who was holding that spot for the past few weeks? Between 5 and 6, it was Georgia. Okay, now they're not even in the top 10 now. I'll go into that in a minute. But at number 5 is Oklahoma. Okay, number 6 is Texas A&M. Number 7, Penn State. Penn State was holding that. They were at 2 at one time, then they dropped to 3. Now they are at number 7 because once again they took the L against Oregon. So they're still in the top 10, but they're at 7. 8 is Indiana. 9 is Texas. Texas still holding in that top 10. And then 10 is Alabama. Okay, once again, Alabama went into Georgia's stadium. Went into their stadium where they hardly ever lose a game at home. They got some kind of wild consecutive streak of wins at home. Well, Alabama took the dub. It was a good game, but I would say neither defense impressed me. They were both giving up scores, and quite frankly, what I'm seeing in college football and in the NFL this year, the defenses have really been kind of letting me down. I'm like I said before in previous episodes, I am a defensive girl. I love to see good defensive stops and teams just playing really great defense and holding a team to 10 points. But lately it's just been scores galore all over the place. So they played a good game, but Alabama, for some reason, they own Georgia. It just seems like that's Kirby Smart's Achilles heel. Every time they play, they seem to have their number. Now, does that mean anything where the SEC championship game is concerned? No, it doesn't. Georgia could very well still win that SEC championship game. But, for this past Saturday, they got them. Okay. One of the other games that I thought that was real interesting in college football was Well, yeah, let me just say this too, because Georgia Tech and Wake Forest played a good game. Georgia Tech is ranked. Wake Forest was not. Wake Forest took them right on down it was like down to the wire. And they only lost that game because they went for two in overtime, and Georgia, I mean, Georgia Tech, they got the stop and they won the game, but they sweated that one out, okay? But the game that I was really interested in, that I really enjoyed, was number 8, Florida State, going into unranked Virginia. Yes. And they said that could be a trap game. When I say they, I'm meaning commentators, analysts. Everyone was saying this could be a trap game. This could be a trap game. And guess what, guys? It was a trap game because Virginia got the dub. Florida State lost and they dropped out of the top 10. Once again, Florida State could still take the ACC, so I'm not making any predictions on who's going to win the Big Ten, who's going to win the Big 12, who's going to win the SEC, who's going to win the ACC. Still a lot of games to be played, so that's yet to be determined. But as we get closer to the end of the season, all this stuff will it definitely will be a clearer picture. But that was one of the most interesting games of the weekend for me. Okay, now, a little bit about the NFL. There were some interesting games in the NFL. There were, I'd say for me, one of the things that I was looking at was the number 1 pick in this year's draft, who was Cam Ward. Me personally, and probably some other folks, felt that Shador Sanders should have been the number 1 pick based on the stats that he had his senior year. Like, he by far played lights out, and we all know why, he went in the 5th round and what happened. But be that as it may, Cam Ward was the number 1 pick. And we all know the number 1 pick goes to a bad team, and they are still a bad team even with Cam. Now, certainly that's not all on Cam. There's a lot of moving parts to why they are not winning. But the Texans beat them 26-0. Titans are still winless. Cam Ward is very frustrated. I mean, you can see him in his post-game interviews, and he is very frustrated. But I thought that was an interesting game as well. The Bears pulled out another win, guys. I talked about it last week, how they got that first win, and Caleb, he had a good game. But they came back this past Sunday. They beat the Raiders 25-24. The Raiders, Gino, no. It's just not happening. I mean, Gino just, I'll talk about him a little later here. But the Bears pulled out the win. Pittsburgh got the dub in Dublin, Ireland. They beat the Vikings, so, that was an international game, of course. And they went into Dublin, Ireland, and got the dub, okay? The Giants, the New York Giants, they were winless. They got their first win, y'all, with Jackson Dart, the rookie, at quarterback. They got their first win. Now, them beating the Chargers, to me, was a little surprise because I am a Justin Herbert fan. I like the Chargers. I still think they will probably end up winning their division. And, of course, everybody's, I'm not going to say everyone, but there's a lot of teams that will just have that game. And for Justin Herbert, he had that game. I mean, he was rushed. The offensive line, in terms of the protection, was not there. I mean, he was hurried. Once the ball snapped, I mean, he had to get that ball out so quick. And they were on him, okay? He was running like crazy, just trying to make a play and not get sacked and the whole nine. So it was very unlike Justin Herbert. So that game, to me, like I said, for the Giants to beat them, that was just one of those games. I think if they played again, I think the outcome would be different. But on that day, the Giants were victorious. Now, the other game that I thought was interesting, and I was really looking forward to it and was really, quite frankly, disappointed, was the Chiefs and the Ravens. My boy, Lamar Action Jackson, was looking forward to it. There was no action in the Jackson this past Sunday. Okay, it wasn't happening. And they just didn't look good. Now, on the other side of the ball, the other team, the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes did his thing. He looked good, guys. He did. And I think he felt a little better because he did have Xavier Worthy back, which, I mean, Xavier did make an impact. Travis is going to catch his balls, but with Xavier there, it definitely made a difference. He'll have Rashid Rice coming back soon. So that team could look different. I would not count them out. But Patrick Mahomes did look good. Baltimore did not, and they took the L. Okay, so that game was, I was looking forward to it, but it was disappointing. Okay, now the game, let me not forget about my Falcons, because my Dirty Birds, yes, they did rise up. They did rise up, and I was so excited to see what we did this Sunday. Our offense was clicking. Zach Robinson, our OC, was on the sidelines as opposed to being in a press box calling the plays. He was on the field, and I'd like to think it made a difference, but the play calling was so much better. I mean, we even went for it on 4th and 2. I was like, what? We don't ever do that. I'm used to seeing Dan Campbell like all the time gamble with 4th and 2, 4th and 3, whatever. Dan Campbell's going to go for it. Falcons always would opt for the field goal or whatever. We went for it, guys. And I mean, we mixed it up with, running plays, with pass plays. And, we kicked field goals. We went for it on 4th and 2. So I was really pleased with what we did from an offensive standpoint and what MP9 did on Sunday. But one of the most interesting games was one that we were all looking forward to. Okay, it was the Cowboys and the Packers. Well, I talked a lot of smack this past weekend, even before the game, talking about Micah, and how he was going to go in and he was looking for revenge, and Dak better watch his back. No, Dak didn't have to watch his back because his team had his back, okay? The offensive line protected him. Dak actually had a good game. Dak threw for over 300 and some yards, okay? So Dak didn't have to watch his back. His team had his back, and I was quite surprised at the number of points that Green Bay allowed. Okay, I'm not surprised that Dallas gave up 40, because we all know the score was 40-40. Didn't surprise me that Dallas gave up 40 because their defense is poor. Like, they do not have a good defense, and they have not shown that they have a good defense, okay? But what surprised me was that Green Bay, mighty Packers, the Green Bay Packers gave up 40 points when, a lot of commentators and analysts after the first 2 games the Packers played, Packers, they look like they could be in the Super Bowl. I mean, people were just putting them in a Super Bowl. I mean, just like that. But I think, with the loss to the Browns, and then they go into Dallas and they just come away with a tie. That's not a win for them at all. It's more of a win for the Cowboys. But, I mean, a tie is just not... Nobody wants a tie. And just so you all know, in the regular season, that's the NFL rules. Okay, the games are going to end in ties if it ends up happening that way. Now, where it does change is in the playoffs. Okay, they'll play until somebody scores. So in the playoffs, it is different. But in the regular season, neither one of them score. Well, it ends in a tie. So that one ended in a tie, and I was talking about Micah doing this, Micah doing that. Now, Micah had 1 sack, and he had 4 quarterback pressures. So Micah had the sack that he had was a big sack because it prevented a score. So and I'm sure that they came up with a defensive scheme to stop Micah. I'm sure that they're what they came up with in terms of checking him, or the plays that they were calling. They were calling a lot that the ball wasn't even thrown Micah's way. Okay, I didn't necessarily see a lot of double teaming or whatnot, but they did what they needed to do to not let Micah get to him like that. And once again, it was 40-40. So, yeah, that game probably was a little disappointing for a lot of us. Okay, I was looking for a little more. And actually, I was one of the ones that thought that the Cowboys were going to get blown out as well. So, much to my surprise, Dallas did, they did look better, and Green Bay, that defense gave up a lot of points. So I was a little disappointed there to see that they gave up as many points as they did. Now, I want to talk a little bit about my studs and my duds. So I want to highlight those players that shine and the ones that just didn't at all. So I like to start with the players who shine, and I'm going to start with that man with the star on his helmet, and that is Dak. Okay, Dak, you were a stud this past Sunday. Once again, he threw for over 300 and some yards. I don't have it like right in front of me, but Dak did his thing. Okay, so no hating there. Yeah, Dak had over 319 yards passing, so he played lights out. The other one would be Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes had 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, which is key in so many games, are turnovers and penalties, which I hate to see because I just think it's a form of just undisciplined playing football. And in this game, there were no turnovers. Okay, Xavier Worthy is back. I think that gave Patrick Mahomes a lot more confidence. Like, I think it made him feel better that he had another weapon out there. Okay, he'll get Rashid Rice back soon. So don't count the Chiefs out just yet. Okay, but Patrick Mahomes on last Sunday, you were a stud. Okay, my next one is James Cook, y'all. James Cook be cooking with the Bills. He has continued with his 100 plus yards streak on the ground. Okay, he just keeps doing his thing. I mean, the guy is just cooking. So James Cook, you are a stud. Okay, and then I'm going to save this last stud because he is a dirty bird, and I'm going to give it to Michael Penix, MP9. Had his best game in terms of passing yards, 313 yards passing. So that's a career high for him. I liked what I saw in Michael Penix, and let me tell you, after our loss with the Panthers, fans, online commenting or either calling the radio stations and talking about, oh, we need to draft a quarterback. No, we don't. We have our quarterback. Okay, it's MP9. Michael Penix is going to be there. He's our future. Okay, so you know what? Get used to it, guys. Michael Penix is going to be there, and Michael Penix, you are a stud. Okay, now I'm gonna go to my duds. And I really don't want to go into this one because I am a fan and I really like him. But this past weekend, Lamar Action Jackson, you were a dud. I'm sorry. The whole Ravens were duds. Okay. They just didn't look good at all. So, for that, I'm going to say Lamar and the Ravens, y'all were duds. Okay. The next one is going to be Geno Smith. Geno threw for 3. Not 1, y'all. Not 2. But 3. 3 picks. He had 3 interceptions. And he struggled to move the offense. You're not going to win like that. Not with 1, not with 2, not with 3 picks. Okay? And he struggled to move the offense. So, Geno, you are a dud. My other 2, I'm just kind of sitting on the fence a little bit about calling them duds. They're great players, but on this past Sunday, they were not. Their performance was just a little underwhelming. Even though their team won, their performance was a little underwhelming. And one, you may say, well, you know what? He wasn't targeted and they didn't get the ball to him, so you can't call him a dud. But A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, little underwhelming performance in that Eagles win. Now, they still won. Eagles and the Bills, they're the only two undefeated teams in the NFL, and that very well could be a Super Bowl matchup. Who knows? Once again, it's too early for all that, so I'm not even calling it, but I'm just saying it could be. Okay, so those two, I'm going to say, were duds. My last one goes to David Montgomery of the Detroit Lions. 12 rushing yards on 9 carries. That's not going to work at all. He's just a non-factor in the backfield with those kind of numbers. 12 rushing yards with 9 carries. David Montgomery, sorry. Last weekend, you were a dud. Okay. That's pretty much it with college and the NFL. Do want to talk a little bit about the WNBA. The WNBA, as you all may know, Phoenix is waiting. Phoenix is waiting for tonight's winner of the Indiana Fever and the Las Vegas Aces. So whoever wins that game, they will play Phoenix in the finals. Now, we all know that Phoenix defeated Minnesota. Minnesota was without their head coach for the last game. She got suspended. She got suspended for some stuff with the refs that she said and whatnot. It was a big deal. They suspended her for that last game. Nafisha Collier, okay, one of the league's best scorers, and definitely Minnesota's best scorer. She was out hurt. Okay, so that's probably one of the biggest difference right there. But be that as it may, Phoenix took it. Congrats to Phoenix. They're waiting for the winner of the Indiana Fever and the Las Vegas Aces. And last but not least, I know I have not really touched on this because when I start doing these episodes, we were kind of on the tail end of Major League Baseball. And there are a lot of Major League Baseball fans, just because I wanted to see how the playoff bracket will look and whatnot. I really didn't touch on it a lot, but I am going to cover it a little bit, being that we are getting ready to get into October, and the playoffs for Major League Baseball is here. In the American League, you got the wild card. You got the Tigers and the Guardians, and then you have the Red Sox and the Yankees. The Mariners will actually play the winner of the Tigers-Guardians series. And then the Blue Jays will play the winner of the Yankees and the Red Sox series. Okay? So, that starts. You had some games today, as a matter of fact. But the championship series will be October the 12th. And then the World Series will open on October the 24th. Okay? In the National League, as a Brave fan, and of course, very disappointed in what happened with our Braves this year. So I'm not even going to go into that. I can give a whole dissertation on that, but I won't. But we, as Braves fans, are happy that the Mets didn't make it. So, New York Mets didn't make it. However, the teams that did, this is how the wild card will play out in the National League. It will be the Reds at the Dodgers. So the Reds will be at the Dodgers, and the Padres at the Cubs. Okay, the Brewers will play the winner of the Padres Cubs, winner of that series. Phillies will play the winner of the Reds and the Dodgers series. Okay, so and that championship series will American League starts on October 12th, and the National League Championship series starts on October 13th. So that is it on Major League Baseball. Well, you know what, guys? That is the buzzer, baby. You have been listening to Heels Off, Game On, where the takes are hot, the vibes are loud, and the heels stay off. Catch me next time for more facts and stats. And until then, have a week of victory and success. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.